They say silence is the loudest sound in Buckingham Palace. But in early 2026, that silence didn't just break, it shattered. It began with a whisper out at sea and ended with a detonation that echoed through the highest corridors of power. Most people think the story of the Sussexes began with a glass of wine and a lucky Instagram follow. But there's a darker, salter narrative that's been lurking beneath the surface for years. It's a story of yachts, billionaires, and the kind of secrets elite circles trade like currency. And now, thanks to a series of calculated signals from the inside, the once upon a time is being rewritten into once upon a yacht. This isn't just about a life before the crown. It's about a collision course between a duchess determined to reshape the future and a royal system that refuses to let the past stay buried. Before the titles, before the security detail, and long before the global headlines, there was a different Meghan. This was the era of the grind, when a Hollywood actress didn't just wait for opportunity. She worked her way into rooms most people don't even know exist. But the real rooms weren't in Los Angeles. They were floating on the Mediterranean. We're talking about the high-stakes world of elite yachting, where influence flows as freely as champagne and guest lists are more exclusive than a state dinner. For years, rumors have swirled about Meghan's presence in these circles. Photos from Saint-Tropez, Ibiza, and the Amalfi Coast show a woman who seemed completely at ease among the global elite. But in the 2026 landscape, those images aren't just nostalgia, they're being reframed as evidence. Insiders suggest these weren't simply vacations. They were strategic appearances. In these ultra-private circles, ambitious and charismatic women are often invited to elevate the atmosphere for billionaires and power players. It's a world often referred to as yacht culture, a term that carries heavy and controversial implications. While Meghan's team has always maintained she was simply a successful woman enjoying her life, the narrative being pushed now suggests something far more calculated. The question isn't just whether she was there, it's who she met when the cameras weren't looking. Because out there, far from tabloids, the rules are different. Secrets stay locked tighter than any palace vault until someone decides they're worth more than silence. And that's the thing about the Mediterranean. The water is clear, but the history is anything but. As these 2026 reports surface, they point to a specific period when Meghan's social circle allegedly began overlapping with individuals the royal family has long kept at a distance. Whether coincidence or strategy, the suggestion is clear. But as she would soon discover, the gatekeepers of those elite circles have long memories, and they're not afraid to use them. Still, those Mediterranean whispers were only the beginning. The real shock came when the digital world began trying to connect the dots. The story took another turn when a voice from within the financial elite entered the conversation. Jean Lefebvre, known for his insights into the high-pressure world of finance, made claims that challenged the official narrative. The public had long been told that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle met through Instagram, a modern love story for a digital age. But these claims suggested a far more complex background. According to those assertions, Meghan's connections may have extended into powerful international circles, including frequent travel to places like France and Dubai, where discretion and exclusivity are highly valued. The implication wasn't just about social connections, it was about experience. It suggested that by the time she met Harry, she may have already understood how elite networks operate. If even a fraction of these claims were true, it would reshape how people interpret 2016. The narrative shifts from a chance meeting to something that looks more like timing meeting opportunity. For Harry, who has defended his relationship at every turn, the idea that he may not have been at the center of the story, but part of a much larger one, adds a new layer of complexity. The fairy tale begins to look less like coincidence and more like convergence. But just as voices from finance stirred the conversation, a far more sensitive development began to unfold, this time from within royal circles themselves. In the world of the Windsors, Sarah Ferguson has always been unpredictable. She has navigated scandals, public scrutiny, and royal exile, and managed to return. She understands the system because she has lived on both sides of it. So when remarks surfaced in early 2026 that appeared to link Meghan to controversial royal-adjacent circles, it immediately drew attention. Any suggestion involving Prince Andrew carries serious weight given his history of scrutiny. Observers believe these moments weren't accidental. They may reflect deeper tensions within the institution itself. For years, The Sussexes have positioned themselves as challengers to a rigid system. But figures like Ferguson understand that the institution also has its own mechanisms and its own responses. The timing is notable. As new narratives gain traction, fresh distractions seem to emerge, shifting public focus from one controversy to another. It's a pattern that royal watchers have seen before. Some interpret this as strategic, an attempt to control where attention goes and when. Others see it as the natural result of overlapping controversies in a very public institution. Either way, the message is clear. When narratives collide at this level, no side remains untouched. This isn't just gossip anymore. It's a battle of perception, timing, and influence, and the field is getting more crowded by the day. And perhaps the most unsettling part of this 2026 resurgence isn't just the label of elite yachting, it's the associations that often come with it. Because in these conversations, one name inevitably casts a long shadow: Jeffrey Epstein. This is the third rail of royal scandals, the one topic Buckingham Palace would rather bury under 10 feet of concrete. But Sarah Ferguson's comments did the unthinkable. They placed Meghan Markle and Prince Andrew in the same conversation. Now, speculation is reaching a fever pitch over how those two worlds might have overlapped. During those mysterious Mediterranean summers, Meghan was reportedly moving in circles uncomfortably close to Andrew's social orbit. The same guest lists, the same private islands, the same fixers who manage the lives of the ultra-wealthy. Some reports even suggest Meghan may have been known within Andrew's circle long before she ever met Prince Harry. The implication is explosive. It raises the possibility that the palace didn't just discover Meghan, they may have already had a profile on her. If she was part of that same social ecosystem, it could explain why the palace's reaction felt so intense from the very beginning. It may not have been about her being American or an actress. It may have been about the circle she moved in. To London's quiet elite, Meghan wasn't seen as a breath of fresh air. She was seen as a potential risk, someone who might know too much about the parts of elite life that are never meant to be exposed. And now, in 2026, as old photographs and flight records are being re-examined and analyzed, the alleged overlap with Andrew's world is becoming a powerful narrative tool, especially for those who want to see the Sussexes pushed out of the spotlight. But while the palace weighs its next move, the person caught in the middle may be realizing that the ground beneath him is shifting. For Prince Harry, 2026 was supposed to be a year of validation. With major projects lined up and a strong public narrative around the Australia tour, it looked like he was ready to prove his critics wrong. Then the yacht rumors didn't just return, they took over the headlines. Sources close to him say he has been completely blindsided. This wasn't part of the plan. For years, he presented Meghan as someone unfairly targeted by a harsh system. Now, he's facing a narrative that suggests she may have been a skilled player within elite circles long before he entered the picture. Behind closed doors in Montecito, tensions are said to be running high. Harry isn't just frustrated with the media. He's reportedly questioning the silence coming from the UK. He's asking, who's behind this? But the answer may be closer than he wants to admit. What cuts deepest isn't just the rumors. It's the lack of pushback from within the family. In royal circles, silence can often feel like confirmation. As he prepares for upcoming engagements, friends say he's becoming increasingly restless. The man who stepped away from royal life to protect his family is now facing a difficult reality. You can't shield someone from a past you don't fully understand. He's caught between loyalty to his wife and a growing list of unanswered questions. Was he the one who rescued her? Or was he part of something much bigger? With every headline, that question grows louder. And as the pressure builds, the cracks within the Sussex brand are becoming harder to ignore. But that reaction may be exactly what those shaping this narrative intended. Because this doesn't look like a random leak, it feels coordinated. To understand it, you have to understand how information works in London. It doesn't just leak, it's placed. The stories emerging in 2026, the timing of Ferguson's remarks, the resurfacing of old financial world commentary, the renewed focus on past social circles, suggest a deliberate pattern. This is the domain of gatekeepers, media insiders, high-level fixers, and long-standing power brokers who have watched institutions rise and fall. According to multiple reports, narratives like this are often tested quietly before going public, floated in private conversations, shared in exclusive gatherings, and observed to see how they land. The goal? to measure reaction before making a full move. And in this case, the reaction has been undeniable. Public interest has surged. By the time Ferguson spoke openly, the groundwork had already been laid. The timing was precise, arriving just as the Sussexes were attempting to reshape their public image, pulling attention back toward the very controversies they've tried to move beyond. This is how influence operates at that level, not through loud declarations, but through subtle shifts in narrative. By linking Meghan to elite social circles, a chain reaction is triggered, one that neither Buckingham Palace nor Montecito can easily control. Because this isn't just a story anymore, it's a battle over perception. And at the center of it are two powerful figures with very different stakes. On one side is Sarah Ferguson, the survivor, someone who has endured decades of scrutiny and has little left to lose. On the other is Meghan Markle, the strategist, whose entire public identity is built on carefully shaped perception. Some insiders are even calling this a scorched earth phase. Ferguson has spent years on the margins, often dismissed by the very institution she once defended. Watching Meghan command global attention through a similar outsider narrative may have sparked a strong response. Ferguson understands the system and its history better than most. By bringing up these past associations, she's not just challenging Meghan's image, she's leveling the field. It sends a clear message. If one past is open for scrutiny, then all pasts are. This is no longer just about headlines. It's about legacy. Ferguson may be aiming to reshape how history remembers her by making her controversies seem minor compared to what's now being discussed. Meanwhile, Meghan is facing a different kind of challenge, one that's harder to confront directly. Because you can challenge a statement, you can respond to an accusation, but you can't easily respond to a signal, and you can't silence a whisper. As Sarah Ferguson continues to hint at revenge and retaliation, the Sussex camp is left playing defense against something far less tangible: a ghost. The polished humanitarian image that Meghan Markle has worked so hard to build is now being challenged by a narrative that critics describe as raw, messy, and deeply damaging. It's a clash of two very different worlds. And in a battle like this, the person with the least to lose often has the advantage. But even as the pressure mounts, a new strategy appears to be emerging from Montecito, a pivot that suggests the fight is far from over. As we move deeper into 2026, the geography of the story has shifted from the Mediterranean to the Southern Hemisphere. The highly anticipated 2026 Australia tour, once expected to be the Sussexes' major return to the global stage, has instead become a flashpoint for an unusually intense level of public reaction across the Commonwealth. What was meant to be a victory lap is now turning into a series of difficult stops. Reports suggest that the yacht narrative is no longer confined to online speculation. It's beginning to surface in real-world reactions. In cities like Sydney and Melbourne, the atmosphere is reportedly tense. Protests that once focused on broader political issues are now taking on a more personal tone. Signs referencing past rumors and unanswered questions have started appearing at scheduled tour locations, creating a growing PR challenge for the Sussex team. Observers say the response reflects a deeper issue: perceived inconsistency. For a couple that has often emphasized authenticity and transparency, renewed scrutiny over past narratives is creating a noticeable disconnect for some audiences. The Australia tour was meant to reaffirm their relevance. Instead, it's highlighting just how far and how long the shadow of royal scrutiny can reach. But the most complex front in this 2026 situation isn't unfolding in public streets. It's taking shape in the digital world. In certain tech circles, there are growing whispers about advanced visual reconstruction projects, efforts aimed at recreating past scenarios with extreme realism. While the details remain unclear, the broader implication is significant. We're no longer in the era of low-quality edits or obvious fabrications. Today's technology can simulate lighting, depth, and detail with striking accuracy, blurring the line between what is real and what merely appears real. The concern isn't just about accuracy, it's about perception. For Meghan, whose public image has long relied on precision and control, this presents a serious challenge. If highly realistic digital content begins to circulate, the conversation may shift away from what actually happened to what people believe they're seeing. In this landscape, visual content carries enormous influence, and perception can quickly become reality in the public eye. As these two forces, public reaction on the ground and evolving digital narratives, begin to converge, Buckingham Palace faces a decision it can no longer avoid. Do they remain silent and allow events to unfold independently? Or do they step in to protect the institution from being drawn deeper into the situation? Recent speculation suggests that King Charles III may be under pressure to provide a clearer stance regarding the Sussex's position. Not as a defense, but as a distinction. Such a move would effectively separate the monarchy from the personal narratives surrounding Prince Harry and Meghan. It would be a decisive step, one that reflects a shift from protection to preservation. For Harry and Meghan, the message would be unmistakable. This time, they may be on their own. As the dust begins to settle on these developments, the mood in Montecito appears to be shifting from shock to strategy. Meghan, known for her ability to reshape narratives, is reportedly stepping back from the spotlight to refocus on humanitarian efforts. It's a familiar approach. When the personal story becomes overwhelming, the focus moves to a broader, global purpose. But this time, the stakes feel higher. The Australia tour, once central to their public strategy, is now being viewed through a more critical lens. Every appearance, every statement, is being examined for authenticity. Meanwhile, Prince Harry is said to be in a very different state of mind. Friends describe him as distant and unsettled, caught between his commitment to his wife and the pull of a family history that refuses to fade. The independence he sought in California now feels more complicated, less like freedom, and more like a different kind of pressure. Distance from the palace didn't silence the conversation. It simply gave it more room to travel. Inside Buckingham Palace, the silence continues, and it remains as powerful as ever. The institution appears to be watching carefully, waiting to see whether the Sussexes can navigate the storm on their own, or whether the ongoing narrative will reshape their position permanently. There's no urgency to intervene, because the story is already in motion. For the monarchy, the priority is survival. For Harry and Meghan, the question is far more personal. Can a relationship withstand the weight of a legacy that may not be as simple as it once seemed? And perhaps the biggest question of all still lingers. What truth was worth disrupting everything for? And who will be the one to reveal what comes next? Because in this world, every headline connects. Every move has a motive. And every secret, eventually, finds its way to the surface. You've been watching Palace Secrets, where the truth is rarely simple and the past is never truly gone. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because the next chapter of this 2026 story may be even more intense. The storm isn't over. It's only just beginning.